And so I love doing videos like this where it's like my Netflix favorites of the month. That way, if you're looking for anything to watch, then I can give you some ideas. So let me know if you've seen any of these and what your thoughts are. I would love to hear. But yeah, let's get into some of my favorites. The first favorite that I have to share today is the documentary I watched called The Biggest Heist Ever. It tells the story of two people. They are eventually husband and wife, and their names are Heather Morgan and Ilya Lichtenstein. You'll see in the documentary that eventually Heather Morgan is also referred to as Razzle Khan because eventually she tries to become a rapper. She delves into like the music world and becomes a rapper, and her rapper name is Razzle Khan. The reason I like this documentary so much was because it was just kind of a crazy story about these two people that even the law enforcement officials were totally not expecting to be the people behind this giant cybercrime. So essentially what happened is these two people, I believe it was in 2017, they stole millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin off of a site called Bitfinex. However, over time, due to the crypto boom, which took place shortly after that, it ended up being worth over $4 billion. It tells the story of who these people are, how they met, the story behind them, what they did for work beforehand. It also talks about cryptocurrency, and it sort of provides like a general education on some of the terms and things that they're using in the documentary, which for me was really helpful because I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to cryptocurrency and all things in that arena. Then it tells the story of the law enforcement officers finally tracking down, after so many years, finally tracking them down and figuring out who they are. I don't consider that a spoiler because this is an actual story that happened. Everyone knows that that's what happens at the very end of it, but knowing all the little details in between and trying to figure out who they were and just learning about how a crypto crime is so different than what we view regular crime as. So like the way that if like let's say a homicide happens, the way that that's investigated and everything is obviously going to be way different than a crypto crime, because all of that stuff, cybercrime, crypto crime, all of that stuff is online, and some people, like these hackers, were good enough at hiding their identity. And so as the investigator, this was so interesting to watch, and just kudos, like that investigator, the lead officials that were on this deserve an award for being so good at their job, because the way that they had to really track and pay attention to the things that were being done to eventually find out who these people are was so impressive. So yeah, really good documentary. I enjoyed watching it, and if you have nothing to watch, totally check it out. The next documentary, and the one that I did a little discussion, a candid discussion about, is The Kings of Tupelo, a Southern crime saga. The Kings of Tupelo, a Southern crime saga, is about a guy named Paul Kevin Curtis. And like I said in my previous video where I was just, discussing it, he is such a character. When I tell you this guy is multifaceted, I mean it. He is an Elvis impersonator. He's a father. He owns a cleaning business. And so the whole point of the documentary is just telling you the story of how he went down a massive conspiracy theory black hole, because he uncovered what he thought was massive evidence that showed true Mississippi corruption, crimes taking place. It talks about that, but then eventually there's an actual crime that occurs, and because of how Paul Kevin Curtis presents himself, and you'll see when you watch the documentary how he's just kind of quacky, quirky, like when the crime that I'm referring to that happens in the documentary takes place, it's not far off to assume that it would be him, but you have to watch the documentary, because I'm telling you, the best way to describe this documentary is telling you, you never know what's going to happen next. You do not know. It's literally like what I thought was totally not what happened. is a documentary that is talking about the murder that took place of 3 girls that were from a town called Alcazar. It's in Spanish, so I had to watch subtitles. But it was still a really good documentary. It was a very difficult documentary to watch too, of course, because it's a serious crime that happened and incredibly tragic. 3 young girls were taken from the community and their families, and it was horrible. But it's a very important story that had to be told, and I do think, in my opinion, though, this was a really lengthy. How many episodes? It says number of episodes 5. There's 5 episodes in this whole documentary series, and in my opinion, I do think it could have been condensed down. I think that the documentary went so into depth with a lot of the media coverage that took place, because it kind of shows how in the 90s, this took place in 1992, the media around then, like even in America, was just unhinged. People on TV at that time did not respect their guests and the topics that they were talking about the way that we try to now, and so they really illuminated that in the documentary, and it's insane some of the coverage that they had, even having some of the families on talking about the things that they were talking about. But it was really interesting because it's a very well-known case over in Spain. At the end, it talks a lot about women's rights and, going forward, what things changed from this case and things like that, and that was really interesting. But I do stand by my other point, is that I do think it could have been condensed down. I don't think it needed to be this many episodes. There were times where there were certain things where they were just dragging it on, and I was like, come on. But overall, I would definitely say that it was a really good watch, and I'm happy I watched it, and definitely think that if you're into true crime and you're running out of things to watch like I am and you haven't seen this, then definitely check it out. Is anybody else in that position where you're like watching all the good stuff on Netflix and you're running out of things to watch? So yeah, that's what I'm hoping this series can help with. If you haven't seen some of these things, then maybe it'll give you something else to watch. And then lastly, there is a movie recommendation that I have, which doesn't always happen, but all drama aside, I know all the things that are going on right now with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, but I finally watched the movie It Ends With Us, because I never went to go see it in the movie theater. It came out on Netflix at the beginning of December, I believe, and I finally watched it, and I have to say, I actually really enjoyed the movie. I think that those 3 actors together, like Blake Lively with both individual guys, had really good chemistry. I thought that they did a good job in the movie. That one scene where they go to dinner and Blake Lively's character meets eyes with Atlas for the first time at his restaurant. I got butterflies when I watched that scene. I was like, oh my god. But it was a good movie in my opinion. I know that the overarching theme is very serious. It's talking about domestic violence and how serious that is. But in general, overall, for like a movie watch, I definitely would recommend. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite of all time, but something that I would say is worth a watch at least. Like I said, that's all drama aside, because I know that there's crazy stuff going on right now with lawsuits, all this stuff with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. But yeah, and what a shame too, because I would think that for both of them that this was probably a really big project for them. The book itself is really, really big and popular, so how unfortunate is it that there's kind of like, it's stained by this drama and the lawsuits and everything that are going on. It's pretty unfortunate, but those were my December Netflix favorites. Please help a girl out. If you have any recommendations for me to watch, drop them down below, please, because I'm always looking for Netflix recommendations. I'm not, generally speaking, I'm not somebody that watches a lot of TV series, but I am open to it, because the last one that I watched, it's been a while, but I watched This Is Us with Mandy Moore. It was a really good series. But yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, please leave them down below. I would really appreciate that. Let me know if you've seen any of the ones that I just talked about. Thank you so much for watching. I will